This man's hairline. How am I supposed to ignore this when I can hear the agonizing cries from your permed hair screaming out in pain from all the heavy lifting it's doing trying to hide your 40-year-old receding hairline?
Androgenic alopecia, also known as male pattern baldness, causes a lot of suffering, especially for young men like myself. I've been diagnosed with androgenic alopecia for 5 years now, maybe even six, and I've been struggling with hair loss ever since. And I have this bald spot, or rather, I say thinning spot on the back of my head, and I've been living with it for 5 years now, and so do a lot of men all over the planet. And in particularly in young men, androgenic alopecia is associated with an increased risk of suicidal thoughts, of psychosexual disorders, altered mental and social status, depression, and a lot more pathological behaviors and patterns. So, how should we exactly approach this kind of comments from Moist Critical, and what's my personal take on the fact that he insulted this guy by mocking his hairline and his hair loss in general? I'm gonna cover all that in this video, but before that I want you to do something for me, guys. I want you to subscribe to my channel to help us reach our next goal, which is 5,000 subscribers by 2024. We're sitting at 1,700 now, so yeah, any help would be appreciated. But before sharing my thoughts, I want to hear yours first. So make sure to put in the comment section what do you think about this kind of behaviors. And I want to reply to this comment first.
Trying to hide your 40-year-old receding hairline.
Now, I'm pretty sure that Moist Critical already knows what I'm about to say, but for the sake of our viewers, I just want to say that androgenic alopecia is not a disease. And the fact that a young man like myself or a lot of my viewers have androgenic alopecia, that does not signify that that guy has something wrong in him. That does not signify that that guy is ill. Again, I'm pretty sure that Charlie knows about this and he's just mentioning that for the sake of insulting the guy because he's an asshole. He's going there and annoying people in public beaches. So I'm not defending the guy, but I just want to say that androgenic alopecia is a physiological process. It's completely normal. Now, some people have male pattern baldness begins earlier as they age, and the reason for that is the expression of the androgen receptors on hair follicles. Now, you may already know that androgenic alopecia is caused by the hypersensitivity of hair follicles to the male hormone dihydrotestosterone. Dihydrotestosterone is the derivative of testosterone, which is the main hormone of the male body. And dihydrotestosterone is formed by the enzyme 5-alpha reductase. So we basically have our testes creating testosterone, and this enzyme 5-alpha reductase basically transforming testosterone to dihydrotestosterone in the blood, and dihydrotestosterone being a more potent androgen, a more powerful androgen, it exerts basically the same functions as testosterone does, but it exerts it in a more powerful degree. So one of the functions that dihydrotestosterone does is that it creates the secondary sexual characteristic for a male, like the hairy body, like the beard that grows for a lot of men as they age. And unfortunately, it does create a thinning hair, and it does damage the hair, and it actually binds to hair follicles, and it signifies for those hair follicles to activate certain genes, and those genes eventually lead to the hair follicle dying, and you see this kind of results on the street, and it's all because of DHT. It binds to the hair follicle and it exerts its damaging effects so that the hair follicle will fall and will thin little by little to eventually become non-existent. I'm saying all of this just to say that androgenic alopecia is not linked to a category of age. Any man, any healthy man could experience androgenic alopecia at whatever age. It does not have an age characteristic. Now, it's more common for older men. That's 100% correct, but that doesn't mean that a guy who has androgenic alopecia in his 20s, that doesn't signify that the guy is ill or that he has something wrong with him. But that was solely me responding to the fact that Most Critical said he has a 40-year-old's hairline. Because I don't agree with that. I just think that any man at whatever age can experience androgenetic alopecia and can experience baldness. And I'm pretty sure that Charlie already knows this. Again, he's saying that from an insult standpoint. So yeah, I just wanted to make this clear. But the second thing is that I don't really mind what Charlie is doing here, because you should see the broader point. You should see the bigger image. This guy is going out there annoying people on public beaches and being an a-hole, and he's the one that putting himself out there. He's the one that presents himself as this prankster that doesn't mind annoying people and interfering with their personal spaces. So if Charlie did these kind of comments for somebody who's minding his own business, somebody who didn't mention him even once, if Charlie did this kind of comments for an actor, or for me, for example, or for one of the hair loss sufferers online, I would have had a completely different point on this. But Charlie said this kind of insult on a person who presents himself as a prankster, a person who puts himself out there as someone who doesn't deny rough jokes. So I personally don't see anything wrong with it. I've never been in favor of the idea of banning some words or preventing some people to have their liberty to say things or freedom to say some things, as long as you're being respectful to the people who deserve respect. Now again, if Charlie did these kind of comments to somebody who deserves respect, somebody who didn't do these kind of weird behaviors, to be honest. The guy is going to the beaches and going to a guy's wife and asking her out. I mean, that's just wrong. And what Charlie does is he's making an example out of this guy. And true, he's using his physical appearance to do so. He's using his hair loss to do so, which the guy doesn't have obviously nothing to do with. But that's just normal, guys. That's just how comedy is. That's just how Charlie's personality is. I'm a big fan of him and I watch his channel all the time. And you should just get it from the point that he didn't get out of his way and insult a guy who didn't do anything. He did it to a person who presents himself as somebody who makes fun of people and somebody who interferes with people. So I don't see anything wrong with it, as long as you're being respectful to the people who deserve respect and to the people who mind their own business. I'm perfectly fine with it. But my only criticism here is that androgenetic alopecia can occur to anybody at any age, and it doesn't have anything to do and to say with the fact that that person is ill or that he has something wrong with his body. It's just hypersensitivity and the fact that some people are genetically, you may say blessed or cursed, you choose the word that fits you, but some people have this predisposition to create more androgen receptors more than other men on their hair follicles, and thus when they reach puberty, their dihydrotestosterone will bind more to those hair follicles and will destroy them, and eventually, as we know, he will become completely bald. So that was my take on Charlie's comments on the guy on the beach. That's what I'm gonna call him. And yeah, if you want to watch a video that describes which hair doctor or which hair transplant doctor is near you and which is the better and the best hair transplant clinic that's near you, go ahead and make sure to watch this video. I've made a lot of effort doing this video and I think you're gonna enjoy it. Or if you're interested in alternative treatments that are capable of stopping or slowing down or in even some cases reversing your hair loss, please check some of my other videos. I talk extensively about some FDA-approved treatments like minoxidil and finasteride, and I discuss the clinical data behind those treatments, and I do so in a neutral fashion. My motto in this channel is I don't have any bias, and I try to hold no bias towards any of the compounds I talk about. I really only dive into the clinical data and I try to present it to you guys in a neutral fashion. So if you're interested, please watch some of my videos about those hair loss treatments. And if you found the video informative and if you stayed so far, don't forget to click on that like button. And as always, stay safe.